It started with silence, not on the track, but in the garage, right after Singapore. Oscar Piastri climbed out of the car without a word, while Lando Norris stared at the timing screens, refusing to look up. Inside McLaren, that silence meant one thing: trust had cracked. An internal investigation followed, and now the team has thrown away its so-called Papaya Rules. For the final 6 races, Norris and Piastri are free to fight. No team orders, no protection. If you love F1 without the noise, hit subscribe and let's get into it. McLaren's decision comes with the Constructors' title already secured, but the driver's crown still hanging in the balance. Piastri leads on 324 points, Norris sits on 302, and Max Verstappen lurks with 261. That's a 63-point gap with 199 still on the table. On paper, McLaren should dominate, but the deeper story is about leadership, loyalty, and how a team on top can still tear itself apart from within. The breaking point came in Singapore. A split-second call, or the lack of one, triggered chaos. Norris and Piastri brushed wheels, and Oscar's furious radio message echoed through global feeds. Within hours, Andrea Stella ordered an internal review. What emerged wasn't about strategy errors or pit windows. It was about trust. Stella privately admitted McLaren had created precedents and standards that were never sustainable. Inside closed doors, engineers spoke of confusion, inconsistent team orders in Hungary, mixed messages in Monza, and then silence after Singapore. One insider told Sky F1 it felt like no one knew who the team was backing anymore. That uncertainty reached the drivers too. Leaked reports suggest Piastri was promised fair treatment earlier in the season, a promise now at the center of this crisis. By the time the review concluded, Stella faced a choice: protect harmony or unleash rivalry. He chose the latter and set McLaren on a knife-edge path toward the title. When McLaren confirmed the end of its Papaya Rules, the paddock split in two. Some saw courage, others saw chaos. Ted Kravitz was blunt. This isn't the McLaren of Ron Dennis. Back then, control was everything, and that control won championships. His point cut deep. Under Dennis, tension was normal, but discipline was absolute. Now Stella's open duel philosophy feels like the opposite: a gamble on emotion over order. Gunther Steiner never shy to stir the pot, went further. You back the guy with the points, he told Sky. If you don't, you split your chances and hand Verstappen the title. From a pragmatic view, he's right. Piastri leads by 22, and history favors the leader when team unity holds. But Mark Webber, Piastri's manager and mentor, quietly shaped the other narrative. Drawing on his own Red Bull battles with Vettel, he pushed for equality, not hierarchy. Let them race, he insisted to McLaren brass. And now his influence is written into team policy, for better or worse. The walls inside McLaren's garage now tell two stories. On one side, Oscar Piastri, calm, precise, and quietly confident, knows he no longer needs to ask permission to defend his lead. That freedom, hard-earned and overdue, has transformed his demeanor. Mechanics say he's more vocal in debriefs, sharper on setup, and visibly lighter under pressure. As one engineer put it, Oscar walks in like he's driving his own destiny now. Across the bay, Lando Norris carries a different kind of weight. For the first time, McLaren won't step in to tip the balance his way. Every point he gains must be taken, not given. Friends describe him as tense, focused, a little closed off. He knows Piastri's confidence is growing and that Verstappen is lurking, waiting for cracks to appear. What began as a team rivalry has evolved into a psychological duel. Self-belief versus frustration. And with each race weekend, that tension seeps deeper into strategy meetings, radio calls, and even quiet glances before qualifying. McLaren's new freedom sounds thrilling until you look at the data. Without team orders, the smallest decision can destroy a race. Pit crews now face double pressure. Identical timing, identical treatment, zero margin for error. Any stop a tenth slower, any strategy call that favors one car will spark new accusations of bias. Mechanics describe it as operating under a microscope. And the sprint weekends in Austin, Mexico, and Brazil magnify that risk. More races mean more starts, more strategy chaos, and more chances for disaster. McLaren strategists now must plan 2 separate title campaigns running side by side, each a job of a potential champion, each mistake potentially fatal. Tire management, fuel load, safety car timing, every variable now matters twice. As Stella admitted privately, we can't manage emotion with data. The team has built a rocket ship, but its stability depends on human precision under fire. And with Verstappen closing from behind, McLaren is walking a tightrope with no safety net left. The split inside McLaren has spilled far beyond the garage. Now it's a full-blown media war. And the UK pundits lean toward Norris, the homegrown hero, loyal to Woking, the face of British F1's next era. Headlines praise his patience and question whether Piastri's rise is too fast, too soon. But in Australia, the story flips completely. The local press celebrates Oscar as the calm disruptor, the kid who dared to take on a British favorite and refused to back down. Then there's the Dutch coverage, laser-focused on Verstappen. To them, McLaren's chaos is Red Bull's opportunity. The Telegraph called it a civil war that could crown Max again. And they're not wrong. Social media amplifies every quote, every onboard clip, every radio outburst. Fan accounts frame the rivalry like a boxing saga. Lando versus Oscar, no team orders. What began as internal tension has become global theater, where perception matters as much as pace. The numbers don't lie, but they don't comfort either. Oscar Piastri leads the standings on 324 points, Lando Norris trails with 302, and Max Verstappen shadows them on 261. That's a 22-point McLaren gap, but a 63-point threat from Red Bull. With 199 points still available across 6 races and 3 sprints, the margin between triumph and disaster is razor thin. Every scenario simulation inside Woking ends the same way. If Piastri and Norris take points off each other, Verstappen wins. It's brutal arithmetic. A single DNF or a split podium can flip the title within 2 weekends. McLaren's engineers have run more than 100 virtual race models since Singapore. The conclusion? Their biggest rival isn't Red Bull, it's themselves. Strategy overlap, tire offsets, even pit lane priority could decide the season. So while McLaren celebrates having 2 championship contenders, the math whispers a warning. Only one can truly win, or both could lose to Max. For Andrea Stella, this is the defining test of his leadership. He's earned praise for honesty and calm under fire, but now diplomacy won't win races. McLaren's fate depends on whether he can hold 2 world-class drivers together under the same roof, when both believe they can be champion. Every decision from now, pit priority, upgrades, radio tone, will reveal where the team truly stands. Inside Woking, they call it controlled chaos, but everyone knows the control part is fading fast. One emotional flashpoint, one mechanical failure, and McLaren's dream season could implode. Yet, if Stella manages to harness that rivalry, if both drivers push each other without breaking, McLaren could rise higher than ever. The next race at Austin will show which version of this team survives. The united force that rebuilt itself from years of struggle, or 2 rivals tearing it apart. If you've been following the McLaren Civil War, don't miss our next episode, Austin, when teammates become title rivals.